Arsenal did on Saturdays, they applied the pressure. Massive win away at Bournemouth. I was at the game. Have to say, Bournemouth in the first half, I thought they were really good. Put a lot of pressure on Arsenal. Uncharacteristic mistake by Gabriel, but then he redeemed himself after that with a nice finish by him. But Bournemouth are really, it's not an easy place to go to, Bournemouth, because really tight pitch, really sort of different ground to most of the other grounds in the Premier League. And they were really on it right from the start. You could see they were really up for it. But Arsenal, they weathered it. And then in the second half, good performance. And Declan Rice, I mean, this guy for me, I did a fan cam after the game and I said, listen, the debate is over now. I don't want no one to tell me that this guy is not world class. And it's not just based off of that game, but he's consistently good for club and country. And he's been consistently good over the last few years. You saw last year he got into the European, UEFA Team of the Year. He's an exceptional player. We missed him in that game against Villa, even though we won that game pretty easily. But if Arsenal can keep him fit from now till the end of the season, they definitely have a serious chance in this Premier League.
Yeah, someone said to me yesterday, if Arsenal had to lose one player for the rest of the season, who would United want it to be? And I said Declan Rice out of the four options were there. To be fair, Gabriel wasn't there, and I think he's an important player as well. But Arsenal got a lot of important players. But I agree with you. I thought I couldn't believe, we were on about this the other day, 29 goals conceded away from home Bournemouth this year, but only 6 at home. I mean, how do you get your head around that? And they did play well. And for a long period of that game, I felt like they could get something out of it. But that's a testament to Arsenal's mentality to make sure that they get results. And also, I think the squad game that Arteta's got this year is better than Pep. To leave Saka out or rest Saka and play Madueke for 70 minutes, and Madueke was very good and had a big part to play in one of the goals. That just shows that's what squad depth is. You can't always pick your best team, especially when you're playing the volume of games you play over Christmas. And Arsenal have had a lot of injuries as well, but he's got a very, very good squad. And that showed against Bournemouth, where I think some teams were quite tired over Christmas. Arteta's been able to mix it up a little bit. So credit to Bournemouth, but it's a really good result for Arsenal again. Yeah,
it is a very good result. And I think the thing with Arsenal as well, the good thing at the moment is that a lot of players are starting to come back as well. They've had a lot of injuries that they've been able to weather. And I've been saying for quite a while, they've actually done exceptionally well to be top with the amount of injuries they've had. I mean, they've gone away to places like Chelsea and Villa without no Saliba, no Gabriel. They played Villa the other day without Declan Rice. Yeah. They've been missing big players. Saka was missing at the start of the season. Odegaard's been missing for periods of times. Now a lot of these players are starting to come back, and maybe coming back a bit fresher because they've been out. And, they've got Havertz now who's back in the squad. You've seen Jesus looks rejuvenated. They're getting these players back at the right time. I remember last season around January, they suffered loads of injuries to real key players. They sort of in the reverse. Could the momentum be swinging that way with injuries for Arsenal as well, going into this sort of really busy January and then busy sort of business end of the season? Really important win.
The thing about Arsenal as well is they're also a team. I mean, Eze's not really had much of a look in the last couple of games, but he's still massively part of it and has some really important games. And, that people are always looking for an angle with Arsenal. I saw, a certain pundit talking about Gyökeres, and it's like they're top of the league by 6 points and you're trying to call Gyökeres a flop. I think obviously he hasn't scored enough goals, but when you watch Arsenal, it's the misprofiling of him. One of those goals happens because he's bullying two defenders and it comes loose for Declan Rice. Odegaard lays it off and it's a goal. Obviously, Arsenal fans will want him to score more goals, but they're definitely a different team with him in the team than they are with Havertz and Jesus, who offer something different. He's a bit of a battering ram, which occupies centre-backs, which creates spaces for others. They're a squad. Arsenal are a squad. Like there's so many players in that team that offer different things. Even Martinelli offers something different to Trossard, and I think he's got a really. I think they'll win the league, but obviously I appreciate there's still a long way to go.
Still a long way to go. And should we be writing off Aston Villa? Of course, Manchester City slipping up at home surprisingly against Chelsea. When you consider Chelsea, no manager, no Caicedo, no Cucurella. Right. So you would have thought for Manchester City, the absolute perfect time to play Chelsea. But it was just a real, I don't know what you felt. I thought the first half was a bit of a lackluster affair. Great goal by Reinders. And then in the second half, still, even though City were on top, they just didn't, they still didn't really press home their advantage. And you could see Chelsea growing and growing into the game, especially when Delap came on. They started to have a real focal point up front. And I think in the end, Chelsea definitely deserved their draw.
I think if that was Arsenal, the only thing I would say, and I said it in my match reaction last night, was that from City's point of view in the second half, I remember numerous times where Foden could have played Cherki in, Silva could have cut it back to Haaland. There's 3 or 4 times where you'd expect City to play the right pass and kill the game. And they didn't, and they were wasteful. And it was one of those days. And as you said, Chelsea, it's fair play to the coach, can't remember his name, made a tweak at half-time, took an attacker off, brought a midfielder on, and it made it more of a 50-50 game than it was in the first half. And you're always in it at 1-0 in the Premier League. I mean, I think 1-0 is probably one of the most dangerous scores in the Premier League this year, because look at Spurs yesterday as well. And fair play to Chelsea. I mean, Donnarumma did his best to try and keep it out, but Enzo got there in the end. And I think it's a very good point for City. Very good point for Chelsea.
Yeah.
But a terrible point for City. Really bad in the title race. 2 points from 6 in their last 2, and that gap is big now. And it's exactly what I thought about City. I feel like they're a work in progress. I don't feel they're actually ready to win the title. I know they still can, but I think they've shown a little bit of experience over this weekend.
And a couple of injuries for them as well, like in the defensive position, important ones as well, especially the Ruben Diaz one. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but he didn't look good. Gvardiol as well, who's been playing well the past few weeks. They could be missing them going into a couple of games as well. And we all know January is a very busy period, especially for teams like Man City. You've got Champions League. They've got the Carabao Cup as well. A total, I think, 9 games in total for this month. You don't want to be picking up too many injuries this month.
No, and I think, it's... you want to do well over Christmas because you want to put a bit of points in the bank, and that's what Arsenal have done and a few other teams have done. But for City to lose ground, because when we went into Christmas, it was, who's going to stop Man City? Arsenal are going to bottle it. Even though Arsenal hadn't lost the game, they were winning. They were scraping results apparently, and then you come out of it and City have dropped the points and Arsenal haven't. I think with title race, some people just get too hyped up about individual game weeks, and actually Christmas is a period of 4 games, and Arsenal have come out of it on top, and Man City have dropped the points. So that's where we are.